to open the meeting as well as any declaration of interest. Hearing none. We do this meeting is specifically a call for today to approve a resolution that was presented by the Marathon Family Health Team as well as NOSH in regards to the mass community vaccination program. I'm going to read the whole entire resolution, and we're going to send off to Dr. DeMille and as well as our MPP Michael Gravel and Minister Elliott, Minister of Health, as well as the Premier Ford. Whereas the Town of Marathon has recognized the strategic plan has demonstrated over the past years its commitment to the importance of healthy citizens as a foundation of a healthy, engaged, economically vibrant community. And whereas vaccine availability in the community of Marathon has been minimal at 150 doses per week, requiring a weekly trip to Thunder Bay for vaccine pickup. And whereas the province has mobilized vaccines in large volumes to immunize remote communities, First Nations communities of Bitigan, Anishinaabe, and Anishinaabe, and urban Indigenous communities successfully. And whereas the province of Ontario has started immunizing lower risk segments of the population in urban areas, while we do not yet have sufficient vaccines to have even done the high risk populations in rural Northern Ontario. And whereas there are examples of other jurisdictions, notably British Columbia, that have demonstrated the ability and the effectiveness of mass rural community vaccinations. And whereas the Community Marathon has capacity for mass vaccinations in a single week to immunize the entire adult population of our community. And whereas the Wilson Memorial General Hospital site of NOSH has entered into an outbreak that creates an urgency for this need to support immunization protection of healthcare workers and the population in order to safely and successfully sustain an already fragile health services. And whereas the remote nature of this community, of the community of Marathon, rurally index score of 97 out of 100 creates additional complexity and vulnerability for the population. And whereas the overall expense of weekly travel for vaccine pickup, the inefficiency of mobilizing one clinic per week, and the enormous cost of backfilling hospital staff with agency staff are made of much more cost and resource efficient by the single mass vaccination clinic strategy that will protect healthcare staff and the community alike. So as stated, this resolution, there's a therefore, I'll read that as well. Therefore, be resolved, the Town of Marathon expresses its support of urgent delivery of approximately 2,200 doses of available vaccine to be delivered to remaining adult population in the community who are eligible for vaccination, and to be approved by Thunder Bay District Health Unit and administered in collaboration with Marathon Family Health Team and NOSH staff, and an appropriate amount of the complete of all second doses to be repeated approximately 4 weeks later. And that the Town of Marathon call on Northern Ontario Municipal Association, through them, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, to urge the province of Ontario to create an approach to all northern rural municipalities to enable mass vaccination of adult populations for vulnerable populations wherever communities have the capacity to provide the service. And further, the Town of Marathon convey this decision to Council in resolution form to our local MPP, Michael Gravel, the Ontario Minister of Health, Minister Elliott, the Thunder Bay District Health Medical Officer of Health, Dr. DeMille, as well as the Premier of Ontario, Premier Ford, and the Federal Minister of Health, Minister Hajdu. So with that being said, I need a mover and a seconder to approve that. Get that on the floor.
Jones.
Okay.
I'll move, Councillor.
Councillor Lake. Okay, so just a quick overview of the weekend discussions before we go and call the question, and I'll ask if any other questions. I had discussions with both Dr. Newberry and Dr. Rancha in the importance of this. They also had discussions with Dr. DeMille over the weekend. I had the opportunity to speak with Dr. DeMille, and she will approve this and send off a note with this resolution to Minister Elliott, MPP Gravel, Minister Hajdu, and Premier Ford for support in principle of the idea that we are asking for a community vaccination program for rural parts of Northern Ontario. She wouldn't commit to fully endorsing it and or shipping doses here, diverting from the city of Thunder Bay or elsewhere within the district, but she did commit to supporting this resolution in principle to send off to the appropriate people I listed above. So that's as much as we have. We will send it to the appropriate communities as well as those individuals in NOMA and as well as AMO after we approve it, and we'll see if we can have some sort of results out of this motion and get other communities to support it as well. Questions? Mr. Skorczynski.
Your Worship, I would just suggest as well that if once council passes the resolution, that we issue a media release tomorrow to go along with it, that administration can draft tomorrow morning.
Absolutely, that's a good idea. Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Valance?
Yeah, just a quick question. Is there any more lobbying that we can be doing to the federal government in order to not necessarily skip the provincial government, but with their lack of direction or rollout of the vaccine program? Is there any opportunity to go and skip right to Minister Hajdu or, like I said, the federal government?
So with that being said, I mean, this resolution is going to go off to Minister Hajdu. I'll definitely reach out to her and see if there's an opportunity. But I believe that the allocations of doses are based on population. Ontario is getting its allocated doses. It's up to the Ontario government through their health units to distribute the doses as recommended by the province, as well as the individual directors of health within the region. So I'll check it out and have the opportunity to speak. I'm not too sure if I'll get in touch with her today, being a holiday, but I'll certainly reach out. Anything else?
Yeah, just one question, Your Worship. I think I find it interesting that Thunder Bay wouldn't let us declare ourselves a separate zone when they had the outbreak and we didn't. Now that we have the outbreak, which is actually in per capita worse than theirs, they're not prioritizing us in terms of vaccine rollout. It's a bit of a, it seems to be that they do what is best for them. I also think, I mean, we have to sell our unique position, right? We have a healthcare team and a hospital that's willing and able to do this quickly, and we have a remote population that's particularly vulnerable right now. So I just think maybe pointing out some of those discrepancies in logic might help. I don't know.
I certainly appreciate that, Councillor Lake. I spent probably 3 different opportunities to speak with Dr. DeMills, as well as both Dr. Wrench and Dr. Newberry spoke to her on occasions over the weekend. And being a holiday weekend, and everybody had things to do with their own life, but we all reached out. We had those discussions. We couldn't convince Dr. DeMille that this was an urgent matter, and not only for Marathon. We were selling it on, let's get Marathon done first, then move on to the next most impacted community within the region, and go forward like that basis. So yeah, we just couldn't get that support, but we did get at least the support in principle of the idea. So that will go on to the Premier and to the Minister, and we'll see what comes out of that. Councillor Valance.
I just want to say, great point, Councillor Lake. That's a really, really good point. So yeah, just reiterating that for sure.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's frustrating, but yet we are doing the proper thing, and we're trying to protect our community. So we'll send off the resolution. She's fully aware of that, and she's going to await that resolution to endorse it and send off the letter of support in principle. And we'll see what comes out of that. We'll continue to lobby, and as Mr. Skorczynski said, we'll put out a media release tomorrow to identify our position, and with the support of the Family Health Team and NOSH as well. And you're right, we can vaccinate our community very quickly, but yet they don't seem to recognize that. So it's all good stuff. We just need their support. I don't see anything else, so I appreciate that. I call a question. All in favor? Great. Thank you very much. Carried. And if there's nothing else, we will adjourn this meeting at 12:09 p.m. and we'll get all the appropriate stuff done. And our deputy clerk will send off the resolutions to the appropriate municipalities, NOMA, AMO, as well as Minister Hajdu, and we'll follow up with that over the next day or two. So I need a mover and second. So I'll go Councillor Lake, second Councillor Valance. We adjourn at the hour of 12:09. Sorry. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for all your work there, boys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.